Hi everybody. I want you to watch this video. I'm going to share with you one of the best tools I've ever run across in my many decades of being a therapist and a coach. And today I want to talk about narcissistic parents and how they ruined normal things for you. My name is Jerry Wise. I've been working with clients for over 45 years and I've helped them to get their family of origin out of them. Today I want to talk about, again, things that got ruined for us growing up in a narcissistic home. First of all, one is a sense of self. Certainly, if we grew up with a narcissistic parent, our self-development was stunted, was certainly blocked. We were extensions of our parents only. We were controlled by them, and often, many times, either overparented or underparented. If you have an unhealthy parent, dysfunctional parent, and certainly a narcissistic parent. So sense of self is one of the things that got ruined for us. It's one of those normal things that should have been normal and natural for us. Number two, a sense of real love or healthy love. That's a normal thing that got ruined for us. We didn't learn what healthy love was, real love. Love was either conditional or not present or lied about it being love, but actually it was maybe conditional love, which is not love. Or maybe love was seen as a means to an end, or being loving was a manipulative love. And so we got robbed of knowing what a true love is and a healthy love. Thirdly, we may have, as we grew up in a narcissistic home, we may have been robbed of the normal experience of a healthy school experience. Often there were conflicts over grades and friends and activities or sports, expectations, and all of those things that went into us just either going to school, trying to learn, trying to be a decent student, and trying to find out where we were going in life. And that got robbed from us because our expectations and there was so much conflict around our performance. Fourthly, a normal thing that got ruined for us would be exploring the world. We were controlled, often over-controlled. We had lots of fear. Don't do that. Be worried about that. Watch that. Only do what I say you should do. You're stupid if you do that. You're ignorant and an idiot if you try that. And so just exploring the world and testing the world out was something that got ruined for us growing up in a dysfunctional or narcissistic home. Number five, sex. I don't often talk about sex, but I probably should talk about it more because that a lot of people who have come to meet with me, their sex lives have been affected by things that have gotten ruined for them when they were growing up. Maybe we were over-sexualized when we were young. Maybe sex was totally taboo, should never be talked about, never be addressed, and it always should be confronted with fear or, again, a taboo of sorts to even talk about it. Or maybe there was sexual abuse. And again, that can be sexualized too young, and then there's also sexual abuse. If mom or dad is talking to you about their sex life when you're in third grade, now we are sexualized too young. If one of or both of our parents or siblings or other extended family members, because of neglect or unawareness, commit some sexual abuse or assault, then that's the trauma of sexual abuse. And as I mentioned, the puritanical sex view that sex is dirty, sex is bad, you're just a slut. Well, you're just all you are out there dating like you're some male whore or something. And a lot of names were used growing up that can be awful on kids and can rob us of seeing sex in a healthy, normal way. And that got robbed from us. Now, I promised you that notion that I had learned that I thought was one of the most valuable notions that I learned. And it's in the problem, we find the solution for recovery. So if you can describe the problem, I can help you describe the solution and help you look for a solution and a fix. And actually, when we can identify a problem and how it worked, how it works, how it works in us, we can then focus on recovery. And it can be a focus for healing. For example, if we had low to no self, because I mentioned the first one was no sense of self, that got ruined for us, well, then we can work on self-differentiation, which I mentioned down in the description, in which that's an online program. Look at the testimonials. I think you will find it worth exploring. I definitely think it's a program that I spent 45 years putting together. So take a look at that program as to how you can build a sense of self now. You don't have to wait. And I also talk about, with people in which we've had childhoods that have been robbed from us, it's never too late to have a happy childhood because the child is still in you, your inner child. And that child can live happy with a whole new parent. And who is the whole new parent? You. And in fact, when we're adults, we take over the parenting role for us. We don't need parents after age 18. We become the parent for ourselves. It doesn't mean we never need help. It doesn't mean we never maybe should, and that we there's nothing wrong with asking questions, getting support, but you're still the parent of you when you become an adult. And so if I'm the parent of me, I can make my inner child have a better and happier childhood now. And I think that's good news. If we have found that we didn't learn much about healthy love or real love, and we have multiple bad partners, unhealthy relationships, then it is time to heal our programming about love and relationships. It's time to heal our unhealthy knowledge of love. I think there's some real good ways to begin to learn what love is about. Just like if there's a great book, Extraordinary Relationships by Roberta Gilbert. There's also another good book by Harriet Lerner, The Dance of Intimacy. If you want to know what healthy love's about, it's not a secret. You can learn about that. And you can begin to reprogram yourself differently. From the nonsense, the lies, the manipulation and control that we had growing up. And we can now take time to heal how we use our feelings and thoughts in healthy love. How do we use our feelings and our thoughts? When do we use them? In what way do we use them? And again, I talk about that quite a bit in the program. Number 3, when we've had that bad performance experience growing up in our family and going to school, conflicts over that. You make all A's and 1 A minus and get criticized for that. You make mostly F's and 1 D and no one even cares, or they totally are oblivious to it. Don't get you help. Don't try to find out what's going on. Again, we can have over control. We can have neglect in families where there are narcissists and dysfunctional parents. And so now we can work on our program expectations for ourselves. And I use phrases that have helped me. Anything worth doing is worth doing poorly. That helps me with my perfectionism and over expectations for myself. In other words, if it's worth doing, it's still worth doing. Now, I may not always do it perfectly, but maybe it'd even be worth doing it poorly. That's how I started doing my videos. I thought this information is important, so it may be worth doing poorly. And if you see some of my early videos, they weren't fantastic, but it still was worth doing. And so I didn't have to do it perfect to make an impact. If I had trouble with basketball because my dad was a coach, he was also a principal, and he was a coach, and it was just awful being coached by him when I was in grade school. Felt very insecure. My brother was a good basketball player. I wasn't. And so basketball became a very uncomfortable sport. Now, I have had friends that I've worked with and talked to who are teaching me about basketball in a way that I can enjoy it and actually do it in a comfortable way. It's never too late to have a happy childhood. So if we have felt awkward about things growing up, or broken or robbed of things growing up, we can begin to give those things to us ourselves as adults. Confidence building. We can work on building our own confidence. I'm going to parent myself in a way that I'm going to love Jerry. I didn't say I was going to make Jerry the center of the universe. I said I'm going to love Jerry. Jerry's not the center of the universe. I know that. But when I was growing up as a codependent, and as I became a codependent as an adult, I didn't even think Jerry belonged in the universe. That he even belonged in the universe, let alone being the center of the universe. So I needed something in the middle where I do matter, but I'm not the most important thing in the universe. And that's okay. Or that I was being selfish. No, I needed to be self-focused. That's an important way to live, and it's an emotional state that's healthy for an adult. To have that self-confidence and self-value. That's a normal adult characteristic. Working on changing that malignant normalcy, what I considered to be normal but was really not. It was normal for me growing up or normal for you growing up, but it's not normal in the world. It's not a healthy thing. It's just what we saw regularly, and then that became normal. That dysfunctional normalcy we want to begin to change as we get older, and we can. Number 4, resolve our fear of the world and others. That's one of the problems that we have, is that, again, we were being controlled often when we grew up. Well, you can't go see them. You can't go visit them. You can't stay all night there. Who knows what's going to happen to you if you do that? And we have a very fearful world we're dealing with. And we can resolve some of those fears of the world and of others, and we can find trustable pockets of support and people, and we can also learn to trust ourselves. Because again, that was part of what happened when we were exploring the world when we were younger, and how we got robbed of being able to explore the world because we couldn't trust the world. We couldn't trust the world, couldn't trust ourselves. Now we can begin to work on trusting ourselves. Then we might be able to trust others more. And I didn't say naively. I didn't say in a naive way, but in a healthy, mature way. And I talk about that in the program as well, and talk a lot more about that. Number 5, we talked about being sexualized younger or sexual abuse. We can heal the wounds of shame, of sexualization and of sexual abuse. There are many good books out there. There are many good coaches and therapists that can help you with that. I would recommend and suggest you get a good therapist or coach to help you with the shame of sexualization, early sexualization, and sexual abuse. Remember, the way you think and feel about sex is not really you, but it is your programming. And I think that's something that we can remember time and time again. We tend to think that's really me. No, that's really what you've learned. And if you've learned it, some changes can be made in the unlearning of that. Remember, always remember, sex is not dirty. Sex is not shameful. Sex is not to be feared. It is not to be avoided. It is not taboo. and it does not offend God. And I think many of us have learned all of those things in the negative. The good news is we can begin to live a different life as now we are adults, adulting ourselves. I hope you'll subscribe. Please comment on this video, like it, and take a look at the program down below. I want to thank you for joining me today. Have a great day and be wise.